Okay, what we are going to do today is we're going to present as little as possible, and we're going to show you as much as possible for as far as we can do in like 40 minutes approximately. And we want to show you a use case, because today we're going to talk about unified IT. And Ivanti is all about unified IT, and it's a great marketing word. And I'm not going to say that I'm so excited to be here, because honestly, presenting before a group of techies that know more than I know, that's scary actually, it's not exciting. But we're going to show you a use case, and it's all about unified IT. And I'll explain about unified IT a little bit later, but we want to show you something first. We came up with a use case, with a real actual customer use case that we are currently implementing for one of our customers. And that's about education. And if we can go to the next slide, I'll press that myself. Here we go. It's about, I need to get out of that light, somebody told me. Our use case today is about education, and to be more specific, it is about digital testing. Digital testing is a big thing. You know, remember probably when we all came off school, you know, we had like paperwork to do our tests. Today they're all about digital testing. But there's quite some challenges with digital testing. The first thing you want is that people are really being tested. We want to test the people, we don't want to test Google, right? Digital testing is being done on a computer, on an endpoint computing device. And the beauty of those devices is that we can go on the internet. And that's a challenge. So, digital education workspace challenges, I'm just going to bring them up. What they are actually doing in educational organizations today, schools, they are either buying a bunch of hardware that they totally secure and lock down, and then they store it in a closet for approximately 3/4 of a year, eating dust, and then they take it out and they're going to do the tests, and then it goes back into those closets. Basically, it's a big investment and it's kind of a waste of money. The other thing that they do is have IT people run around, reconfigure computers that they use for normal education so that it can be used securely for testing, and then they are going to do the test, take the test, and then the next day they have to go back and they have to change everything around. And the beauty about those configurations is it's not just one testing configuration, right? There's multiple. Some exams can be taken and calculator is allowed. Other exams, calculator is not allowed. So what about that? So changing configuration is time consuming, and another thing is that teachers want to be informed. They want to be informed of the process of this, and well, they are not. So there's quite some impact there. High workload on IT, something we don't want. Teachers are very often chasing. How is that examination being taken? Where is it taken? How is that being done? They lose valuable time. Exam locations are not available for a certain moment in time because that reconfiguration of those computers take time, and we depend on specific exam locations, either one of two. By the end of the day, it's a high cost. That's my intro, and now it's your turn, Dennis, to do the technical stuff. Let's just show you what we came up with. We're open for questions, so feel free to chime in. And Dennis, you need this one now.
Yeah.
Here you go.
So I want to express, of course, that we use the digital examination use case. We use the Ivanti platform for it, but it doesn't mean that it is only applicable for education. You can think about other use cases as well. Think about the auditor use case when you need to temporarily give the auditor access to certain areas in your environment for a certain amount of time. So what we actually do is take in the context awareness, what we normally do in program management, and give that power to a third person. Let's say a teacher or manager, anything who we deem to be fit to have that power. So in our use case, we're gonna use the education use case, and in order to show you that, I need to have an environment, and I'm using this environment. It's an AWS. And if I log into my AWS environment, I can RDP to two sessions. One is a Windows 10 machine and one is a Windows 10 education machine. You already heard it. We're doing the education one, so I want to log into an education environment. And in this environment, it's just a Windows 10 machine where I can act like a normal student who's preparing himself for examination, looking stuff up on the internet, have all his drive mappings prepared. I can actually just look at my environment. All my drive mappings are here. I can go to the internet. Okay, fast internet. If it's allowing me. Also use go to important stuff like triggers. I can set up Word. I can have settings in Word, and it's actually what every normal profile management application does. It remembers all the settings, and that's what I want to keep. So let's set some settings here. Let's make a different background differently. So that's nothing special. That's what we've been doing all these years already. So and it doesn't matter what environment you are working on, a VDI, in a persistent, non-persistent system, all my settings should move to every point I'm logging into. So that's fine. We're talking about the examination. So this student is already done learning and is preparing himself to the examination, and the teacher or the professor needs to set up the exam. So I'm logging in our Identity Director. I'm using Identity Director at this point, not because we have to, but because I'm focusing on the technical request fulfillment of this solution. Normally I would hassle you with all the logical processes that's being done in ITSM. I'm not doing that right now because it's going to take me the whole day. So right now I'm just using Identity Director. I'm logging in as a teacher. And I have a attribute-based access store where I am capable of ordering services. So I can order an exam service, which I'm going to do. I'm going to give it the code. Let's say, what's today, 8th of June or something? I don't know, 01, whatever. I can give the description. And it already recognizes, because I'm logged in, for which teacher this examination needs to be done. So I can also select other ones, but for now I'm going to use this one. I can set a date. Today is the 8th of June. And I can choose the length of the exam. I can, of course, make it longer or shorter. Let's just pick 2 hours. And you can see I'm using here a drop-down. This form is all about a drop-down to make it easier and more focused. You can imagine that you can also use different options like checkboxes or hours or just a date form. Last but not least, we choose here a digital exam. We also put in here a paper exam. Why do we do that? Because paper exams still exist, and we want to have the capability for a teacher just to upload his data, and then we take care of the rest of the logical process in order to go to the press and take care of that part. This is also an important part because we want to focus the teacher that he has to do certain exams, and we can choose what kind of that's not focusing. What kind of template he wants to use. You can choose a test tech website only, and for this we only use for the exam that he only has access to Wikipedia and to Word 2016. This form is also about drop-downs. We also have examples where we can use checkboxes in order to let the teacher choose what kind of application the student is allowed to work with. So let's take this one. I have a grace period of a certain amount of seconds. I can undo it, and at this point the service is going to be requested. The teacher is all about being informed all the time, so I get multiple status details where it states what's going on. At this point it's waiting for confirmation for a planner, Planner Eddie or Planner Jenny. They need to approve the date of the exam. The teacher is not allowed to choose the location and the date itself, because he's not all about informed of the logical parts of the exams. So we're going to log in as Eddie the planner. And Eddie has a message in his queue box where he needs to approve the current exam request. I can approve it, I can reject it, and if I reject it, it's going back to the teacher in order to follow up on it. Now I will approve it. And because I approved it, I will require additional information, because all I know now is a certain exam. I know the date, but I have no idea about the location or about the time. So it's going to be requesting for provide additional information. The teacher still can follow all the status details. So also the teacher is informed and sees here it's waiting for additional information from the planner. So I'm providing all additional information. The date is set. I'm gonna add a time, 68. I'm gonna choose a couple of rooms where this setting is applicable. Press next, finish. An exam is approved. So now we all have to wait for the exam to kick in. It's calculating the first warning message, like all the thank you messages. It's calculating the exam end time, because we're using time and location as context awareness of this endpoint. So now all we have to wait again with first message where the endpoint is being warned that an exam is going to start in 30 minutes. Of course, this is not 30 minutes but 1 minute for this demo, and we're going to wait. And you will see that after this first message, student can still work. We will be warned for a second time, and the endpoints will be rebooted. Teacher is still informed. For the same message, it says in 30 minutes the first exam is going to start, and of course you can have multiple exams here, so you can have multiple warnings. Teachers are also informed that the exam is really going to take place. He's being informed what kind of template he has requested, the name of the exam, the start date, the end date, the rooms, and which teacher is going to be applicable for. Going back to my RDP session. And now we're going to wait for the last session to endpoint, so the endpoints will be rebooted. Last message. Being warned that all your work needs to be saved. I can stop work here. I can also do my run commands, I can do anything I want. In Ivanti we have two workspace propositions. One of them is powered by absence, and one of them is powered by res. And originally we used the res proposition for this solution, where we can actually do a refresh of the workspace and don't have to reboot. Now we're using the absence, powered by absence workspace environment, where we actually are forced to reboot the system because the CISO told us to do so. That's actually why we're doing it like this at this point. There we go. You're about to sign out and the system is going to reboot, and the exam configuration will be loaded at the same endpoint that we need to have it on. give AWS a couple of seconds to reboot the system, and then we will log in back into the Windows 10 education environment. Last status for the professor or the teacher. Exam is running till the 8th of June, and a certain amount of time. Time is not right. Okay. Let's see if it's already back. There we go. The student logs back into his workstation. And he's preparing himself to get the exam started. We closed down the complete endpoint on all areas, and we were allowed to use. We were allowed to use a website, which we set already, and we were allowed to use Word. So what we're gonna do. You see the whole. We stripped the whole the whole menu structure. I can still use Word. Word is also stripped from all the settings, back to basics. So we can make it possible to have your access on certain areas, but we can also make it possible to restrict certain parts of that source. Can I still go to other sites? Previously I wanted to go to Tweakers or to Google. I'm not allowed. Can I use the settings of the system to change everything? It's going to be locked down. Okay. Can I then use the run command because I'm a techie? No, I'm not allowed to that as well. Maybe I can use Edge to do my stuff because it's more open, and that's also not approved. So you see the system is all completely blocked. So the student can only do his work, and we're logging everything he's done in order to hack his endpoint. Student is still informed, the teacher is still informed, but we decide that it's time to end the exam because otherwise the demo is going to be very long for the 2 hours. So we're giving the teacher actually the ability to change his end times. And we can see that there's only one exam is being scheduled, and I'm going to change the end time. I can change the end time on certain areas. I can. I can change to extend it for a couple of minutes. I can shorten it for a couple of minutes, and I can end it ASAP. In other words, I can end it now. What you're gonna do? The request has been done, and because the teacher has so many abilities to do so, we also want to have a safeguard in order to have it approved by people. So, are you sure you're gonna do that? Taking into my queue, checking it, and I'm gonna approve it. So at this point I'm gonna end the examination, and I want to restore the endpoint to where the student was before. At this time I have a loop going on every minute to check if the endpoint needs to be restarted because the end time has been changed. So we're gonna wait for that again. It's gonna be the longest minute of my life. So the first warning is being sent because we're not going to restart it. We're going to restart the system at once, but we're going to have the student have the ability to, save his work and his exam. So another two warnings. We chose for 2 warnings, but of course you can have it to 1 or you can have it 3. It's all configurable. But in this use case that we're implementing at the university, we choose for 2 warnings. So that's the first. Teacher is now being informed that the exam will be ending. We have to wait another minute. So what we do is we load certain templates for the profile that needs to be injected in the endpoint. So we leave the actual configurable part in the tooling that we're already using that the customers already are familiar with, whether it be Absence or be Workspace, the old REST proposition, it doesn't matter. We integrate both of them. The only thing that we're doing is we're tying all the Ivanti solutions all together in order to make it more applicable for a process in a certain organization. Okay, so the system is being rebooted. Informing the teacher. The exam has been ended, rebooting the endpoints and returning everything back to normal. So what we actually were doing is that we are making an area that's being used, for example, for study. We can turn it and change it into dynamically into an examination area. There we go again. The student logs back in, exam has been ended, and I want to go where I left off, including all my settings. So let's check if that's been done. Meantime, the teacher will have been informed, probably, guessing. Something like a message, and a message state. That the exam that I scheduled has been ended, and that the actual end time has been changed. So the teacher is informed, everything is being done, the work of the teacher has been done, exam has been done, and we can check the student's work. We have a normal backdrop again. We have our own drive mappings back again, and I can actually go to my Word to see if all my settings have been saved still. So this is actually my original endpoints with my own themes and everything. And that's that.
All right. Any questions so far? So, does anyone have an idea which and what type of products were used underneath here?
Automation.
Automation? Sorry? Identity director, yeah. One more? Yeah.
Workspace user management.
User Workspace Manager.
Oh, yes, that's
Very good. That's the new name. Absolutely. And I picked this use case for a reason. Not only because I think it's a cool demo, it's actually being implemented in a school environment. And I was talking to somebody from the Rijksuniversiteit Groningen, and he was explaining to me how they built this already without us even knowing it. It's a very hot topic momentarily, and it brings me to why Ivanti, because I want to tell you a little bit more about Ivanti, because there's 3 solutions being used in this demo. Those are 3 independent solutions that are, geared more towards identity management. The other one is more geared towards infrastructure automation, and the third one is much more geared to the end users and user workspace management and everything that has to do with the desktop. So that's what we see more in life, and I will give you a few more examples later on. But what we have seen, if we look at the evolution of IT, is that we build a lot of really, really cool solutions, and those matured over time, and they addressed specific pieces of the technology that we used, right? We had Citrix in the past, VDI came across at some point. Later on, we got mobile, so we saw all these mobile device management solutions coming up. Hey, cloud, and we are just adding on technology to what we already can do. And you know what? That's great, because we can really, really deliver fantastic solutions for our customers, and you can all do that. And let's be honest, it's just cool, right? So, but this is what's going on, and a lot of IT organizations really struggle with this, environment that became very complex these days. And at Ivanti, I'm going to be blunt and honest here to you, I had to get used to this as well, because I didn't ask for an acquisition either when we were still RES. But Ivanti has a specific look at the world. Because if you go and look into those use cases that we see, if we go and look at the challenges that we find with our customers today, the solution is never ever in just one product, right? I just used, you know, user environment management technology and identity technology, and it uses automation underneath to get that all done. And that's how we look at the world. Integrated IT, unifying IT, combining solutions in one world. And I'm particularly proud of it because RES, my former company, has a big part in this. We've got our own stack here. We've got our automation platform that becomes the integration platform for Ivanti, and not just for Ivanti, because I hear you thinking, what if, you know, if I have a service management solution and I want to create that use case that you just showed me, and I want to integrate it into my service management solutions, and I don't per se want to buy Ivanti ITSM. Well, that's fine. This automation solution, that integrated and automated solution that we have there, is not only integrating with Ivanti solution, it also integrates with a lot of third-party solutions out there. So you can create your unified IT without being forced to use Ivanti solutions only. Of course, we would like that, right? I'm going to be honest about that. And all you got to do around that is also do analytics and reporting. So 5 solution areas: security, especially focusing on endpoint security, and we don't do network security and firewalling and that kind of stuff. Endpoint security, user environment management, IT asset management, IT service management, and identity. And those are the 5 solutions area that we have, and we are very tightly integrating those. So that is what you can expect from Ivanti these days. It's more than end user computing only, it's more than workspace management only. There's a lot of talking about absence and RES, and there's a lot of focus on that. And I do understand that, by the way, because we, you know, traditionally have had a big presence here, in the Netherlands especially, and absence has a very big presence in the UK. But there's more to it than just those 2 solutions. It's a big solution area, and we can do a lot of great stuff. And I'll give you an example of that. For example, what happens if malware gets detected, right? You need to do multiple things. This is another use case outside of the whole education stuff, right? Malware gets detected. Well, the first thing you need to do is automatically isolate and blacklist that endpoint from your network, right? Well, totally blacklisted? Well, not totally, because there needs to be a control string back to the endpoint management solution so that we can investigate the matter, but it should not be able to infect other systems, right? The detection, that's security, that's your antivirus of whatever solution you have there. By the way, we've got that too. But automatically isolating and blacklisting it, that's happening with endpoint management. So I need security here, and I need endpoint management as well. And we do want to have an alert into service management, right? Stuff needs to be logged. So I need to be alerting to ITSM, a ticket needs to be created in our service management system, and I need remote control to investigate. Now, remote control can very often be done from IT service management solutions, but also endpoint management solutions offer that functionality. And that's already where you see, hey, we cannot always box stuff, right? There's overlapping technologies. And by the end of the day, we're using security technologies, endpoint management technologies, IT service management technologies in this example. And if we are not able to integrate those solutions with each other, there's very many manual steps still involved. And automation is all about getting rid of those manual steps. Here's another example, and maybe you've seen this before, creating a new employee. Well, we need to create new accounts, we need to order hardware, happens via service management solutions. We need to make sure that hardware gets installed using endpoint management solutions. Accounts can be changing over time when people move into new roles, right? So this is typically where we see an identity solution, a service management solution, endpoint management solution involved, and maybe even IT asset management, right? Maybe you want to control your software licenses. Many organizations, by the way, are over-licensed. Did you know that? Many organizations are over-licensed because they are afraid of fines by Microsoft and other big vendors. They don't know how much they actually need from a licensing perspective, so they have more licenses than they actually need. That's money down the drain. We can help with that from an IT asset management perspective, right? So many examples of unified IT, onboarding, automated isolation. Think about Windows 10 migrations. There's a lot of going on around Windows 10 migration. What if I could create a Windows 10 migration where the end user can decide when to migrate, when it suits them best? Awesome. Think about users that no longer have to call the service desk, everything automated, integrated. And that's really what it is about at Ivanti. We have a lot of great technology, but what I'm not allowed to use that word, what I like about it is that we are integrating those solutions and we are able to bring real solutions to our customers. We're not talking about features here, we're talking about full solutions. And I'm closing out today with this slide. Ivanti, the power of unified IT, bridging security, service management, IT. Let's get to marketing crap, right? It's just cool to automate and integrate. And that's really possible with our solution. And there's a lot of great stuff. So that's what I wanted to tell you. Thank you.